Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Red and Blue Review. Before we start, can we ask you to hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube? 87% of you watching won't be subscribers. You can also follow us on Instagram at red_and_blue_review, or follow us on Twitter at red_blue_review. Thank you. Now, on with the show.
It's showtime, so put your feet up for an hour and tune into the Red and Blue Review. Nick, Ian, Jill, and the crew are waiting to hear from you, so get those comments in.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Red and Blue Review podcast with me, Ian Noble, fresh on the back of a 0-0 draw at Stamford Bridge yesterday in our Premier League opener. And a little bit disappointed, we feel, in the Red and Blue Review studio right now. We've been talking pre-show about various events of yesterday, and we're hopefully going to share all that good stuff with you this evening. Joining me on screen is young Yasmin. Good evening, Yas. How are you?
Evening, Ian. I'm good, thank you.
Perfect.
Disappointed,
Excellent.
as you say, but good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's that behind you? Behind you. I meant to ask you pre-show, but I'm going to ask you live now. What am I looking at? Boxes or something?
Yeah, it's all Pete's boxes of wires he may one day
Oh,
use.
see, okay. I did wonder. Paul Gear, hello, mate. You okay?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Yeah, it's another good evening to talk about football, and we've got Leeds Everton on in the background.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can keep us up to date with what's happening there in the final Premier League game of this game week 1 of this new season. And my travelling companion yesterday, Fergus, did. We came back on the train with a Chelsea nutter, didn't we? That was funny.
We did, yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, no, all good. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, looking forward to talking through all the controversy from yesterday.
Now, this doesn't happen very often, but all 4 of us were at Stamford Bridge together yesterday, weren't we? That doesn't happen very often on this show, where all 4 of us get... Look, there we are. We've even got a photograph, and spot the photo bomber in the background, Mr. Grant Saunders. I don't know whether he's taking a picture of the back of us or a selfie on the pitch. What do we know? Would you reckon Grant's taking a selfie or a picture of the back of us? I don't know. We'll find out one day. Good evening if you're joining us in the chat. It's nice to see so many of you. Familiar faces, familiar names. Do put your comments in. We'll try and get to them tonight and interact with you guys. Rule 13, WTF. Yes, Gary, we will be covering Rule 13. Is one of the main talking points tonight. So, yeah, look, let's start with the game, I guess. Lots of speculation before the game. Will Eberechi play or won't he? Yaz, did you think he would play on Saturday and Friday night when we were talking about this kind of stuff online? Did you think Eze would start? Yasmin?
Well, from what we were hearing, I thought, oh no. Yeah, sorry. From what we were hearing, I thought, oh no, he won't play and that will be that. But then obviously it started to come out that he would be in, because I really didn't think that Ebbs would be the type of player to go on strike or sit out a game or whatever, however they wanted to describe it. I really didn't think we had like an Isak type of situation on our hands. So I was actually really pleased that both the players who there's been speculation around, if they hadn't gone, Ollie did the right thing. So if you're not gone, well, I'm assuming he said this, then you're in the squad and you're playing. And I think that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and he said, didn't he, that they trained all week and they're available for selection. And then the rumour came out that Eze wasn't going to play and that he was going to play, but he certainly started. So let's have a look at that starting 11, Nige, please, if we can. So we have Henderson in goal, of course, Munoz, Mitchell at wing backs, back three of Richards, Lacroix, captain Mark Guéhi, Wharton and Hughes partnering him in the middle of the park in the absence of the injured Kamada. Sarr, Eze and Mateta completing the lineup up top. So it's a strong Palace team in the sunshine at the bridge. Ferg, you're going to take us through this game to begin with. So who started the brighter, do you think, of the two sides?
Well, before we get on to that, I just want to say how impeccably the minute silence was for Jota. You know, you could have heard a pin drop.
Good point.
And I know there was a bit of controversy at the Community Shield, but yeah, all the Palace fans done us proud yesterday.
Yeah, good point, actually, because, you know, it was we did get criticised at Wembley, but it was very clear, wasn't it, that Palace fans paid their absolute respects to Diogo Jota yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I think Chelsea certainly started the brighter, didn't they? Certainly for the first 10 minutes. That first effort they had on 3 minutes from the corner, and Cucurella header, and Sarr was at the back post, cleared it off the line. I think it was going to creep in, wasn't it? So
yeah,
brilliant defensive header. Yeah, as I said, for the first 10 minutes, I think Chelsea were, you know, the brighter side. Lots and lots of possession without really causing Henderson any major headaches. And then, of course, we get to the 13th minute. We're awarded a free kick just on the edge of the box. The ball's lined up. The referee's happy with it. Blows his whistle as he takes the free kick. Beats the goalkeeper. We're all celebrating a Palace goal. And it's one of those where, because it's a free kick and it's a dead ball situation, and he's had his shot and he's scored, you think to yourself, well, there's no way they could disallow this one because it's, you know, it's a legitimate goal he scored from a free kick. Of course, we're Palace, aren't we? And then the referee gave the goal, walked away, and obviously someone in the VAR studios had a word in his ear and said, oh, hang on a minute. I do, you know, the guy that was doing VAR, we know that it's his first time he's been doing it. I would expect he's probably been sat there with the rule book open and he's looking through and thinking, now, what can I use in this rule book to disallow this goal? Oh, hang on a minute. This ambiguous rule that says 1 metre or 1 yard, are they the same length? Who knows? And Mark Guéhi encroached on that. So, yeah, he asked down in England to go to the monitor, and we've all seen that before at Villa. And I think when that happens, you kind of know what the outcome's going to be. And, yeah, disbelief, really.
Yeah, there's Paul, who was the guy on VAR? You've got the name there, haven't you?
Yeah, there's a chap called James Bell. Yeah, doing his first ever Premier League officiating in any
first ever Premier League officiating. So he's a championship referee, yes?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So we've got a picture here, I think, Nigel, haven't we, of the referee telling Mark Guéhi, I think, first of all, before he announces it, because we did hear the announcement of the reason, and we're still none the wiser really in the ground. So this is Law 13, free kicks, where 3 or more defending team players form a wall. All attacking team players must remain at least 1 metre, or as you say, 1 yard from the wall until the ball is in play. So in play, does that mean when it leaves his foot, when he strikes it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, what's your take on this? Incredibly harsh, I would imagine you think, like everyone else.
It's incredible. Well, let's start from the basics. It's incredibly harsh in that it's the first time I think it's ever been penalised. It's been around since 2019. I was always aware of a rule where you had to, if you had created your own wall, if the attacking team created their own wall, that had to be 1 metre away from the other one. I didn't realise it was just the one person. But yeah, it's been in since 2019, this rule. And like I say, it's never been called up before. Now, we've had a lot of this summer. Rules are rules. Technically, if you want to go by the rule book, it shouldn't be allowed. But in that case, then there's countless examples last season and probably seasons before where this should have been seen goals ruled out and free kicks ruled out, because it's been. I think there were 7 or 8 last year. They've shown off the bat already, and that people are always pushing into walls and stuff. Now it's a ridiculous. I get the idea of you people not being allowed to get into a defensive wall and breaking it. That's fine. So I get the idea you can't do it, but people standing on the side of walls, as it happened since day dot, you sort of push it out. You try and get in the move people out of the way and stuff. Now the goal's gone in. He smashed it, absolutely hammered it. Now I mean, just to go off on a tangent, as I said last week, I don't know why he doesn't take penalties like that, but that's another story. But yeah, so Mark Guéhi, it's obviously he's having a jostle with Casido, and yeah, there's a bit of strength going on. Now, the first thing they looked at the VAR, they looked to see if it was offside. It wasn't. That got fun. They then looked to see if it was a foul. Now, they didn't give it a foul, and I don't think it was a foul, as some people say it was. But ultimately, if that had been done the other way, if Casido had done that to Guéhi, we wouldn't have got a penalty, so that wasn't a foul. And also, Moses Casido, he spent the whole game, and he always spends the whole game claiming he's been fouled. He didn't even flinch. He did not think that was a foul. He knew there was nothing wrong with that.
Interesting comment.
So the next step is this other rule. Now, like I say, technically it's a problem, but going forward now, in that case, I want to see every free kick that's given. Now, it doesn't even have to go in, even if it, because free kicks can sometimes deflect off for a corner or whatever, gives the team advantage. Yeah. If there's a player within a metre of a wall when a free kick is kicked, then it's got to be stopped. Now, we go back to the ludicrousness of the rule. It's a ridiculous rule. Attackers shouldn't be penalised. You should be able to put a player anywhere. Now, I need someone, probably we need to get Oliver Glasner on the phone or something. New tactic for defending a free kick, right? When he's about to kick the ball, instead of trying to jump to stop the ball going in, just jump next to an attacker to move the whole wall, because there's always people to the side of the wall. If you do that, the minute he kicks it, and if someone's next to you, all of a sudden nothing can happen. So this is how stupid it is. The attackers lost all, the defence can just sabotage this basically. So it's a stupid rule, but it's the rule. So like I say, if they enforce it for every game going forward, then we can't complain. But we all know next week Chelsea or someone will score a goal without a problem, and there'll be someone stood on the wall and we'll be like, hold on a minute, how's that work? So it's all about consistency at the end of the day. Like
listen, Paul, we know that it's not going to be applied week in, week out, don't we? Because it is ludicrous, and you can see them being given even next weekend, by different officials, and no one's going to bat a blooming eyelid. I mean, the interesting thing for me was that not one Chelsea player complained. The referee gave the goal, and the game should then continue from, with us 1-0 up, because it wasn't clear and obvious the mistake he's missed. I mean, you could argue maybe it is because he's missed the rule, but the fact that it was the first time it had been applied in 6 years is bonkers. It just, someone said in the chat, I saw it go through, I think it was Mark Callan, he says there just seems to be a massive agenda against Crystal Palace at the moment. So it feels, it's not obviously, but when you're a Palace fan, it does feel a bit like that at the minute.
No, I mean, as you say, you look at the free kick, not one player appealed, because not because they don't know the rule. They all know the rules, but they know it's never been applied before. They saw that ball flying to the net. They know nothing's happened. They know there wasn't a foul. As I say, it's never been given a problem before. If that goal had been given, there would have not been one complaint in the world of football.
No.
And it's, as I say, it's craziness. It's a crazy rule. And again, it's probably happened to us, so it'll probably suddenly get changed next season. You never know. But no, they didn't, as I say, they didn't think it was a problem with that, and no one would have had an issue. It was just, it's craziness. But the worst part about it is, and to cut that all, is apparently Mark Clattenburg's come out and defended us today, which is always a bad sign. If he's on our side, it must be an injustice. But Chelsea scored a free kick in January at home to Bournemouth in the last minute to get an equaliser. And if you look at the still from that, Mark Cucurella is leaning into the wall. So that should have been ruled out, but it wasn't. And Areola, the Bournemouth manager, he complained about it after the game because obviously he knows the rule. But he was told VAR is not allowed to intervene on that. So it's like a throw in from the wrong place or a moving ball offence. The referee manages the restart of a game. He should tell players what was wrong. It's not for VAR to get involved with attackers in the wall by all accounts. It's not in their remit. So, like I say, how this guy has suddenly decided to.
So how has Darren England then gone with the rookie VAR official? Surely Darren England, being a little bit more experienced than this guy, not much, but a little bit, surely he should have said, actually, mate, you can't actually intervene here because, why doesn't he say something?
Darren England gave a perfectly good goal a few years ago when it was offside. Darren England doesn't know what he's doing. He's half the problem. He's the worst ref. I put on our chat the other day when things were going south on Saturday. We all think Eze's going on. I said on our chats to compound everything, Darren England's the ref. Everyone knows what I think of Darren. I think he's the worst referee in the Premier League. Yeah. Ultimately, if the VAR tells him there is a technical rule's been broken, he has to go for it. But the other funny thing is as well, he was the first official because obviously they're now announcing these to the crowd.
Yeah,
I've said before, announcing decisions to the crowd is probably just as much red rag to a ball to the not doing it. As I say, if he hadn't said anything yesterday, everyone would just sort of been ruled out for a foul. But the fact that he came out and said, "Oh, it's a 1 meter rule," it just made the crowd even more annoyed. But
okay, I'm going to shut you up there because you've said too much. Ferg, you want to come back in?
No, I was just going to say it's inconsistent decisions, right? I mean, this rule hasn't been applied in 6 years, so you can't say it's inconsistent. But there's different interpretations of the rule. The rule's ambiguous. It says 1 meter or 1 yard. I mean, I don't know if anyone can tell me in the chat whether that's the same or different. So straight away, you've got an inconsistency there in the rule itself. There's different levels of training, like you just mentioned. So you've got Darren England, who's supposedly an experienced Premier League referee, and then you've got a guy sat on bar who's never done it before, that's only ever refereed in the Championship. So his level of experience compared to Darren England, it just doesn't work. And I hate to use this saying because a lot of people do use it when they lose to the supposed Big Six, but it is big club bias. I'm 100% sure that when we were given that free kick, that young kid was sat in that thing going, "Oh, if Palace score from this, what can I do?" Now, I know he's probably not thinking like that, but he spoke to Darren England very, very quickly. It was almost like they were looking for something.
Well, they did get to the decision quickly. I'll give you that. They didn't spend ages on it. He got to the decision very quickly, considering. And
this is a rule that hasn't been used in 6 years. So was he reading up on it before the game, during the game, when the free kick was given? It's just.
Dawn Palace says, that's what I've said to Dawn as well. Why didn't Darren England think, I've never blamed for this before? What am I giving this for? Because Paul Guéhi said he's the most incompetent referee in the Premier League. Nigel, we can just get back those Mark Clattenburg quote. I just want to have another look at that if we can, because we didn't really speak about that. So here we are. Mark Clattenburg claims VAR went against protocol after the Eberechi goal. Crystal Palace will feel aggrieved. This is the referee that lost us the bloody cup final, in 2016. Honestly, so you're right. If he has come out and said that, then clearly it was wrong. And Nigel, sorry, you've taken it down again. I want to just talk about the thing on the left. There was a tweet that really made me laugh. I think you can't quite just see it on the screen. It says, "Palace have just scored. Can you go through that rule book and find a way to disallow it?" That really did. I know I shouldn't laugh really because it's serious business, but you can't make it up, can you? Really supporting this team, you really, really can't. And this is in the 13th minute, you say? Yes, Fergus.
13th minute, yeah. 13th minute, yeah.
13th minute, rule 13. Oh my days, dearie dear. Okay, what else happened in this first half? Where do we go? What happened after that?
Right, so just after that, we had Wharton had a great game yesterday, I have to say.
Didn't he? Yeah.
But the pass down the middle to Sarr back to Wharton, then Wharton through to Mateta. I think it was 14, 15 minutes or something, just after the free kick. And he put Mateta through. And should he have scored? Probably. But I think the keeper did well. He stood up, stood his ground and saved down to his left. And I think that would have maybe that had been a little bit of justice for us, I think, after what had happened with the free kick, scoring so quickly afterwards, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah. I mean, I said from the away, and we were up the other end, weren't we? Oh, Mateta's got to do better there. But when you watch it back, it happened really quickly, didn't it? For him to take the shot away, I thought.
Yeah, it did. It was such a shame, though. You just think in those kind of games, if you get in those positions, you've got to score, really. Because it's not like you get hundreds of chances.
No, but you've also got to take your chance quickly. If you take an extra touch, you'll lose it. We've seen that. I think we saw that with Chelsea towards the end, actually. Some of their extra touches weren't very good, which allowed them to to miss out on the opportunities. So yeah, really good opportunity, wasn't it? Shortly after the free kick incident, where Mateta came close for us. Ferg.
Yeah. And then I think the rest of the half kind of, it just ebbed and flowed. Chelsea had a little bit more possession, but they had a few shots. I think Palmer curled one wide. João Pedro had a blocked shot. Chalobah had his shot deflected over. And then a bit of controversy at the second half, which you guys mentioned pre-show about the punch to Mark Guéhi's head and whether we should have had a penalty or not. I don't know what you guys think.
So he stayed down for a fair bit, didn't he, afterwards? And he did get clattered by Sanchez, who came and probably got it a little bit wrong and sort of clattered into him. What was your take, Paul, first of all? Penalty?
If they're going to imply the letter of the law for our free kick, the letter of the law for that is a foul. Goalkeeper comes out, even if he gets the ball, if you punch an opponent in the head, it's a foul anywhere on the pitch. So if they want to start playing football by the rule book, then that was a penalty.
Yeah, Yasmin, I guess you would agree with that as well.
Yeah, I agree, because if that had been Dino on Palmer or someone, they would have got a penalty, wouldn't they? So
probably. So it's a Daniel Garlick blatant pen for that assault on Guéhi. Should have had a penalty for the keeper's punch on Guéhi's head, says Richard Thomas. All you guys are agreeing with us watching the show, so we're all in agreement. No one's disagreeing at the moment. So we go in 0-0, and sometimes when you go 0-0 away from home at a team like Chelsea, you think, that's not so bad. We've got to the break, we've done okay, but felt really we should have been in front at that stage. With one or two opportunities. Second half, we picked up a couple of bookings along the way as well. Were they in the first half? I can't quite remember. Has anyone got that data in front of them?
A couple were.
Yeah,
Mateta. Yeah, sorry, it's gone you.
Sorry, I only know because I had them in my FPL team and I was fuming. It was Mateta and was it Munoz? Was he first half?
Same.
Yeah. Again, it's Darren England for you. Obviously, Reece James got a booking quite early on, and then he did the same to Eze on the touchline. Now, it's one of those, if he hadn't been booked already, he probably would have been booked. So you could argue there was a second booking there. But, it was quite nice to see Munoz take out Cucurella like he does, because he always deserves to get a clip around here and smack on the head and be on the deck, because he's on the deck most of the time anyway. But, in the second half, I know people have been putting in the chat, there was a moment when Casido got fouled and he hit the floor and then he bounced up like a coiled spring and was rolling around the pitch.
Yes.
Mateta may have been a little bit fortunate there. Again, I think that was
yeah.
If he hadn't been booked, he probably would have been booked. So it probably leveled out, but it sums up the incompetence of the man in charge.
Yeah, and no one likes to see players get 2 yellow cards for, if there's a bit of space between a fairly innocuous, borderline yellows, if you like. I know it's all hugely subjective, isn't it? Some of them are pretty obvious, and they deliberately pull a player back, or it's handball or something. But I don't like seeing players get sent off for 2 yellows if they're fairly borderline. And you can understand referees not necessarily wanting to send players off, but there was a lot of noise about Reece James and how he was fouling and he should have got 2 yellows. So maybe he was the one that was more fortunate. In the chat, Lee Lockwood, Reece James kicked the ball away a few times when he should have been carded. Yeah, I didn't pick that up. Anyone else see that about Reece James kicking the ball away? We've seen players booked for that plenty of times, haven't we, last season? So. Okay. Ferg, carry on, my friend.
Yeah, so second half, so Estevo, Chelsea made a couple of substitutions early on, didn't they? So they brought this Estevo on, and he his first action was to beat Mark Guéhi down that right-hand side and cross, and I think is it Neto at the back post? Couldn't get his head quite on it, but it was a massive cheer from the Chelsea fans when he come on. So they obviously like him. But, he injected a bit of pace for Chelsea. But it kind of... Second half, I think, was a little bit... wasn't anything really exciting. There wasn't any real chances until, towards the end. We had... Eze had that free kick, didn't he, where Walton kind of walked over it, just barely touched it. And Eze... ran full. Was that
That's the first half still.
That's the first half. Sorry, yeah. Okay. Who was the?
Do you want me to help you out? Do you want me to help you out?
Yeah.
So, there was John Philippe Mateta had one, didn't he? First time shot from about 30 yards. Very similar to the one he scored at Arsenal, I think, last season, where he's almost an opportunist effort. He turned his defence. I think I had beaten him. He centre back all day actually, but he was a long way out, and Sanchez was rightly positioned. So that was one chance. And then Eze was central, wasn't he? And he stung Sanchez's hands. Again, a really strong shot. If he puts his penalties away like that, then we've got half a chance. But I think we came closest still in the second half to scoring. They didn't really trouble Henderson, did they? At all?
Not really.
They hit high and wide, didn't they, near the end? But
Santos had that one that he glazed over.
And Delap had a shot on target, didn't he? When he came on for João Pedro, he had a shot on target.
And we had the Walton had that 3 ball to Devaney where he just, it was just a little bit too strong. Put him through. That was right at the end. Not. I think all the excitement happened in the first half. Potential penalties and sendings off, and that second half was a little bit. What was interesting in the second half was Glasgow only made 2 substitutions, and I think all 4 of us could say, Mateta was absolutely shot. He was blowing. Sarr was blowing. Hughes had been booked, and he obviously brought Lerma on for him, and then he brought Devaney on late on. But I was going to ask the question: what you guys think about Glasgow and whether he trusts the players that he's got on his bench, because he had Edouard on there.
Well, before we come to that, you want to add something else, or?
No, it was about that actually, because I think it was Mark Callahan put in the chat earlier that the bench wasn't really very strong. We had a lot of youngsters on it, so I guess it's quite difficult in a game like we were in to just bring on one of them. It could be a baptism of fire. It could all go well. So I think this shows what we'll probably talk about in a minute about transfers and signings, how we need more players.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through the bench now. Benitez, obviously a goalkeeper. Cardines, this lad we spoke about last week. Klein, the other end of his career. Devaney, we know he's okay. Came on. Romain Esse, we paid 14 million for this kid. He hasn't really done much, has he? After he got brought on and taken off again at Liverpool in the last season. Lerma did come on. Raksaki made the bench. That surprised a few people, I think. Sosa, the new boy, covering left back, and Edouard still, and he's not going to bring Edouard on from Mateta unless he can't walk, is he? Any time in the game, it's not the greatest bench in the world, is it? Really? And Chelsea's bench, by comparison, was probably full of internationals. I'm looking at it. I don't know all the names necessarily, but they used 4 of their 5 subs. And you see Gusto, Santos, this is Estavo you talked about, and Liam Delap were the players that came on. So, definitely more strength in depth. And we'll come to this later, talk about what players we want in and what positions we need covering, because, I hate this period of the season when we've kicked the season off and we've got another 2 weeks to go before the window closes and we could lose our key players. It's just, it makes you so vulnerable still. I know it's the same for everyone, you could argue, but I just want it done and I want to know who's playing week in, week out. I think Glasner's been very diplomatic in the way he's handled his interviews. When people have asked him directly about Eze, especially, and also Guéhi, are they going to be here? And he said about Eze, didn't he, that he expects him to play again on Thursday night. So, but he's not saying he's not leaving, because I think he probably is leaving. We know that negotiations are some way down the track. But let's come to that if we can while I'm talking about it then. So the latest we know is that Tottenham have bid, well, we think it's been reported, 55 million plus 5 million of add-ons. Paul Guéhi, is that enough money for Eberechi Eze?
No, it's not enough money. But the problem we have here is obviously his release clause has expired, so that money guarantee is out the window. Now we're in a bit of a problem here, as I say. I mean, I think they'll both go. I said that a few weeks ago, and if I thought that, then the club should have at least be in preparation for that. But the problem we have now, I think everyone expected Mark Guéhi to go this summer because he's got 1 year left on his deal. It's sensible. We have to sell him. We can't let him go for free. Even Paris said that recently. Problem is now there's some talk that he may decide to stay and see out his contract, which is obviously his prerogative. But we would lose him for free. Now we can. In that means we have to sell someone this summer. If we're going to bring players in, we have to sell someone this summer. So that suddenly means, well, we have to sell Eze, which means if we have to sell him, that's obviously why we're not going to get the fee we want for him. Now, we can't, and in that case, we do have to sell him because we can't be in a position where if we keep him, let's say next season, next summer, Mark will go for free, and then Ebbs will go for 20 million because he'll be 28, he'll have 1 year left, and we will only get 20 million for the two of them, which is half of what we paid for them. As a club, we can't do that.
This is financial fair play, isn't it? That's what we're talking about.
The transfer model does not work to give those players away, especially considering you've then got to give QPR money as well. So one of them has to go this summer. I think both will go this summer because ultimately to replace them, if you've got to replace both of them, if you've just got a budget of the 20 million that's just coming, it's not going to happen. So I think the sad reality is, much as I don't want either of them to go, I think they have to. I mean, if you've got to bring in replacements for them, it's going to cost money. So I'd say if there is a risk Mark's going to stay, then Ebbs has definitely got to go. And like I say, if that's already down the line.
So hang on, let me just clarify something then. Let's say Mark Guéhi doesn't go. Let's say he stays, and we'll worry about his future in 12 months in a minute. But you're saying then that we have to sell Eberechi Eze this summer. Why do we have to sell him this summer? He might want to go, of course, but why do we have to sell him? And why is it important that we get, say, 60 million for him? Why don't we hold out for more, which was the release clause or north of the release clause?
We can't hold out for. We can only sell him for what clubs will offer. Will offer money.
Yeah, we can say no. It's not.
You can say no, but then we're shooting ourselves in the foot because, like I say, next summer we've got to replace Mark Guéhi. We've got to replace Eberechi Eze. For the 20 million that's come in. We don't have all this extra money for PSR reasons. This is why we sell players. Our model is to buy players cheap, sell them on the pop. Now, obviously, that means all that guarantees next year is if we only get 20 million for those two next year, for instance, it just means we're going to sell Adam next year for 100 million. So you've then got an even bigger rebuild. So
Adam's got 4 years left on his contract. Let's bring Fergus.
Yeah, so I've got an alternative view to this. In that, if we kept both of them, we'd have a much better chance of winning the UEFA Conference League.
Yeah, no one's going to disagree with that.
If, say, we did keep them and we sold Raksaki for 15 million, that's 15 million pure profit, isn't it? This
Who's going to pay 15 million for Raksaki?
Well,
Sheffield United don't even want him.
Well, teams have offered that in the past. When you see some of the players, some of the youth players that are being transferred between different clubs purely for this financial fair play.
Well, that's what's wrong. There should be. I know we go off
I know. But why should we do the same?
Well, I don't know. So you're saying Raksaki, okay? Again, no one would disagree with that. He's probably not good enough, but that's not going to solve the problems, is it?
It won't solve. It won't solve the problem in that we're making loads of money, but we'll have kept two quality players, which will obviously, for the whole season and our cup competitions, make us a stronger outfit. And the Raksaki thing, or whoever in the background, we've got a bit of money in the bank. So, win.
Yeah. Okay. Yasmin, who's more likely to lead, Mark Guéhi or Eberechi Eze?
Well, I did think Mark at the beginning, but now I do think it's Eze because it looks like he has more interest. He'll go for more money. I'd be surprised if Mark doesn't go as well because of what Steve Parish said, that if he doesn't sign a contract, then we would need to sell him. But as you know, I'd be disappointed to lose either of them. But it just feels really weird that we've won the FA Cup, we've won the Charity Shield, we're on a high, and then we lose our best players. It's like a nightmare in a way.
Okay, why is it a nightmare, Paul?
Well, obviously you want to build on success, don't you? There's no doubt about that. But as I say, we're in the waters of this division where we can't do that. We're in a number of clubs that we don't have the money to. We should be replacing these players before we can sell them. I'm quite pleased to see it looks like we'll keep Eze until we've got a replacement in the building. But we should have bought. We were looking at a centre back, Diamonde, weren't we, for 40 million? But we can't buy these players without selling these other players on. And we let Wilf walk out the door for free, and I think that's probably scarred the club a bit, because that was, as I say, he did lots of great things for his club. No one can argue that. But ultimately, he walked out the door, and we then had to fund a replacement for him because we had no money from him. Now, we as I say, we can't do that, and it is a shame, because you want to keep your best players and all this sort of stuff. But we also have just seen the state of our bench, and we need to have. Glasner needs more options. He's got an extra competition this year. We've got the same size squad as we had at the end of last season. The only two players we brought in to basically replace two loanees that have gone. So we're attacking a new season with an extra competition with the same amount of players. Now, we need to bring players in. Now, no one knows the finances of this club. They're not brilliant, let's be honest. And you have to sell players to make that. And as I say, we can't afford to risk losing Mark for free for nothing. And as I say, Eze will only be 25 million at best next year, because he's 27 years old, short contract. And as I say, you can't replace those two for that sort of money.
So we have a sell-on clause with Chelsea, by the way, Paul, for Mark Guéhi.
We do, and it's an interesting one on that one, because if he goes for free, he'll obviously get nothing. Now, there's people talking about trying to do swap deals. I remember in the past someone did that, and that looks as like it's getting round, giving them a fee. So you do actually have to give them some money, which has worked out as part of a valuation thing, because otherwise all clubs would do that to avoid sell-on fees. But yeah, again, if we sell Eze for 25 million next year, I don't know what QPR. I think QPR got about 20% of that, so that instantly goes down, and yeah, we just can't replace people for that money.
Phillips von David said, Paul, you should have replaced Friedman at the club. So nice to see you yesterday, mate. Good to see you before kickoff in the ground. So we've got to sell someone, Paul Gears saying. If you agree with that, tell us in the chat. Or if you're like Yasmin, you want to hold on to them at all costs because she's in love with both of those players, and we can agree to differ on certain points. Okay. If we sell, obviously, even if we don't sell, Oliver Glasner said about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we need at least two more. We need a forward player. We need a defender. We're right in the middle of the park. Surely, if we sell them both, we need 4 more players. Who are we going to get in, guys? Who's coming through the door? Who wants to join the FA Cup winners and the Europa Conference League side? Any ideas? Where would you start, Ferg?
Conor Gallagher.
Conor Gallagher, all right.
If those links are even half true, we should pursue that 100%. He's Glasner's type of player, box to box, full of energy. 100%.
Yeah, someone else with something to prove in a World Cup year. This is the other thing we didn't talk about today. I think we might have touched on it last week. Is that both Eze and Guéhi have got to be certain of playing minutes. Their new clubs if they do leave, because it's a World Cup year, and if Mark Guéhi goes to Liverpool and he's not playing every week, that's a massive concern for him being picked for England. So maybe there are some assurances there that they're looking for as well when they're looking to move on. But Conor Gallagher's one name. I saw we were linked with Hwang Hee-chan today. What do you reckon on that, Paul? Would you go for him?
He's fine on top of others. I mean, as we say, ultimately we need a new defender and need a new attacker. If we need a Mark replacement, Eze replacement. If Hwang Chan or whoever is on top of those 4 players, that's fine. But if he comes in as a replacement for Eze, no, that's not.
He'd be a squad player, wouldn't he? He wouldn't. I don't think he would improve the side. We need to sign 2 players that would improve the side.
We can't get him so he can't be that good, can he? So.
No, exactly. And they're one of the favourites to be relegated. So.
What do we think about Christos Zolis, who's at Club Brugge at the moment, ex-Norwich City, 30 million euros. Apparently we bid and they want 40 million euros for the guy. I don't really know him. Anyone, any ideas? If you know about this player in the chat, tell us about him. Who is Christos Zolis?
Apparently he's got very, very high assist goal ratio for last season. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's quite impressive. But we are talking about the Belgian League. I know, exactly.
What standard is that? Same as the Scottish Premiership? I don't know. Probably not much difference, is it?
If he gets us as many points on the pitch as he would on Scrabble, then I'm up for it.
Still saying that, Munoz, No, we signed Munoz from those type of leagues, and look how he's turned out. So you never know; he might be a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, and same with Maxence Lacroix. No one had really heard of him before he arrived at Selhurst, said they really, now look at him. Yesterday, arguably a contender for man of the match yesterday, Lacroix. He got, by the way, lest I forget, he got his defensive contribution bonus in FPL. He got 15 clearances, blocks, or tackles in. That's pretty impressive. Good. Have we done the game yesterday? We finished that.
Yeah,
I just want to. I just wanted to comment on
Fergus. Talk us through these stats.
All right. Yeah. All right. 72% possession for Chelsea. 19 shots to our 11. 3 on target for Chelsea.
That doesn't add up to 100.
It doesn't. No. Where's you getting this information from?
Darren England did it.
Yeah. 3 shots to Chelsea to our 4. They had 11 corners. It seemed like more than that, to be honest with you, to our 2.
Yeah. 510
completed passes to our 168. That's reflected in the possession anyway. So, free kicks, 10 and 10. Didn't feel like that first half. I thought Darren England might as well have put a blue shirt on yesterday.
Yeah, I said that.
First half was incredible. Some of the decisions he wasn't giving us. No offsides. That's interesting, isn't it?
You don't see that very often, do you? You don't see that very often. Yeah.
No. But I just wanted to make a comment about some. I know, harping back to the decisions, but and Palace feeling a little bit hard done by. But the last few games, we've had that handball against Liverpool not given to us. We had that free kick disallowed. We had a penalty which was pretty nailed on for Sanchez that hasn't been given. So it is becoming a bit of a frustration. There's a pattern emerging
they do
against these bigger clubs. So
yeah, they do say that it evens itself out over the course of the season. And Nigel, I think you've got a stat there, haven't you, about the last 10 games? So we are, yeah. So Crystal Palace's last 10 games have included Arsenal away, Liverpool away, Chelsea away, Spurs away, an FA Cup semi-final, FA Cup final, and a Community Shield. And we're unbeaten in all those 10 games, winning 2 trophies. So that's a pretty good record. That's pretty damn good in the last 10 games. Paul?
I think all that shows is we have a pretty damn good first 11 and a pretty damn good manager. But as I say, as we've just said, we need some depth to back that up now because we've got the extra games. And yesterday was an ideal time to bring someone on like Chelsea did for the last 20 minutes to turn the game. That's what he was using Eddie for at the end of last season when Mateta had run himself into the ground. And we need that, especially on a hot day like yesterday. And that could be the difference between 1 and 3 points on these games. So sooner we get some players in, the better.
Yeah, and and Ketia will be back, won't he? I don't know how long he's out for. Does anyone know how long he's out for?
He said 8 weeks, and then he'd need 3 or 4 weeks to get back in, so 3 months.
Okay. And of course, we're Tommy Samuel. Thank you, mate. Thanks for all you do on Instagram. Don't forget to follow all the different content on Instagram that Tom puts up. El Kernous from Leicester wants to sign. Does he want to sign? Has he said, please, can I go to Crystal Palace? Do we know that?
It was reported today, apparently. He has told Leicester he wants to join us, yeah.
And what do you think about that? Good signing? Yes? Thoughts about that one?
I don't really know much about him, really.
Cutting edge.
Well, the problem is, now correct me if I'm wrong, but is he one that's going to go off for the AFCON? Or is it someone else? Yeah, I mean, we just got to be careful here because otherwise we're going to be in a bit of dire straits when that's on. So what do? We have to think about a balance, and plan for people that are not going to be there.
Well, you get extra transfers in FPL, that's for sure. Week 16, so I can tell you that for nothing.
How many players do we lose for AFCON? I mean, the Sar, isn't there?
Yeah, he's the only one, isn't he?
Who else? Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. If anyone can, then chuck it in the chat.
I think if Czech's fit, he would go, would he?
Yeah, if he was fit and fit.
Yeah, but he's not fit, is he? I mean, he might be back by then. You never know. Well, let's hope he is. It'd be nice if he is. Be a nice problem to have, won't it? The it's in the chat. Someone said, "Don't worry about El Curtinus coming because he's useless anyway." So, what do you know about him, Paul? You've watched more football than most of us.
I saw him a couple of times for Leicester last year. I mean, I never like to write off Championship players, obviously, because Elise and Eze were. But I would rather. He didn't pull out any trees last year. I know he was in a very poor team, but you need to see something from him, and I never really did. But as I say, so he's got a lot to prove. But yeah, it's.
Don't they want 20 million for him? They want 20 million, don't they? Something silly like that for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? They see, if we lose a player like Eze and they know that he needs replacing and they know we've sold him for 55, 60 million, then they're going to ask that kind of money because they think, oh, they've got money to spend and they might as well give it to us.
But this is where our transfer strategy falls apart. If we'd have done this a week ago, we could have got McAtee for 25 million off, and I'd rather have got him off Man City than pay 25 million to Leicester and the guy who's gone to Aston Villa. But we don't seem to buy in advance. We don't seem to plan in advance. There seems to be a lot of hope strategy I've found from this club recently, or not so recently. I think we obviously hoped that we'd be able to convince UEFA certain things. I always remember going back to when Benteke was our only striker, and everyone wanted cover for him signed. And Steve Parish's tweet was, "Well, he might not get injured, and the sun might come up tomorrow." And it just seems like this. We've gone into this season with the same squad on the hope that people don't get injured, and on the hope people won't want to leave. And there needs to be a bit more forethought than that, I think.
And we haven't.
Ben Durant's signing for Liverpool, for Bournemouth today, isn't he? That Liverpool winger that we were linked with, he's going to Bournemouth.
Is he?
Yep.
If you look at the personnel, that we've got, the two players we did get in, the goalkeeper and the left back cover, that's exactly the same as we had on loan last season anyway. Different players, but that's we had that strength and depth last year even. So we've not added to it at all.
The guy from Sporting, Diamante.
Diamond, yeah, centre back.
Diamond, yeah. Okay. I mean, we're still apparently being linked with him. He'd be a good signing. He looks like another Lacroix in the making.
Well, he'd be a Guéhi replacement. So if we're going to sell him, just get on with it.
Okay, so lots of happenings. The revolving door will be in full swing in the weeks ahead. Yeah, Paul.
I just saw Chris's post throughout if I've got any positive thoughts. I was very positive until I started this show, Chris, and now it's all falling apart.
I actually, on Chris's comment, he put a comment in there earlier saying, "Why don't we sell the ladies' tea back to ourselves, to generate some money, like other clubs do?" I thought that was a funny comment. Yeah.
Well, they sold a hotel back to themselves. Is that ridiculous? Oh, bloody hell!
They did, yeah.
There we go. What's the latest in the Leeds-Everton game, Paul? Just to prove we're live.
45 minutes and 4 seconds, 0-0.
0-0. There we go. So if you're watching that, turn it off. Concentrate on us. 15 more minutes. We're nearly there. We're nearly
half time now, so yeah, no excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. So what else have we got going on? Let's have a quick look at this. Nigel has sent me some information on Loan Watch somewhere on my phone. I have it here. I'm going to read it to you in my best BBC accent. Teo Adaramola, remember him? Yeah. Where's he on loan? Do you know, Paul?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure he's gone.
In London. It's Leighton Orient.
Oh, yes.
Made his debut at the weekend. He got more valuable minutes in the tank as he started consecutive games for the O's against Wycombe Wanderers in the League Cup and Stockport in League One. Started both games as a late own goal saw Wycombe progress in the League Cup for an entertaining 2-2 with Stockport. Joe Whitworth, where's he on loan, yes? Exeter City, second year running. He featured in both games. Exeter lost 2-0 to Cheltenham in the League Cup and 2-1 to Mansfield in the League One. They're not very good, Exeter, at the moment, and they keep losing. I don't know why they wanted him back then, because maybe he's struggling a bit. David Ozo back at Derby County for a second season. He was injured for most of last season, but they wanted him back. He returned to Pride Park on loan for this season, has continued where he left off. Well, he was injured last time. I don't know who wrote this. With strong performances in the last week, he started and played in 63 minutes in the League Cup against West Brom, with Derby progressing on penalties. And then he played 81 minutes as they lost at home to Coventry. Do you know the score of that game, anyone?
5-3.
5-3.
5-3. Caught that pretty crowds back, that one, wasn't it? That'll bring the crowds back. Another goalkeeper, Owen Goodman, who's a Huddersfield Town. Step up for him from his AFC Wimbledon last year. Cup drama in the week for Huddersfield. They knocked out Leicester, but he didn't play. But he did play for Huddersfield as they beat Blackpool 3-2. We haven't got anything on Danny Imre here. I don't know why we haven't. And then we've got a young lad called Victor Akinwale. He's on loan at Eastbourne Borough down near me. Thanks, Nigel, for the info. We do Loan Watch every week, just in case you're interested in any of these players that belong to Crystal
Should we
Palace.
mention the under-18s here?
We're going to mention now. You can mention it, Ferg. Go on and mention the under-18s. There you go. You do it.
Under-18s, yeah, away at Birmingham, 8-0. Fantastic result.
I think they played Birmingham under-15s.
Yeah, no, future's bright, mate. Future's bright with the youth. The youth academy starting to flourish.
That must have been quite. I mean, if you're the under-18 manager at Birmingham City, what was the score at half-time? Do we know the half-time score? You know, could he have made any changes? You know, what does he do? Oh, I don't know.
I think it's 4 or 5-0 at half-time.
Was it? Yeah, you're making it up, aren't you? Now, as you go along, you don't know, do you?
Well, I've got to get the alerts on my phone, so it kept going off, and I was like, bloody hell.
Do you get the alerts on your phone for the under-18 games?
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
No.
Hardcore.
Palace, mate.
Oh, dearie me. Dearie me. Okay. Did we get... I mean, last week I got admonished by producer guy Nigel because I nearly forgot to mention about Premier League predictions. If anyone hasn't predicted where we're going to finish in the Premier League, you need to put it in. You can still join in this, apparently, now, if you didn't predict before, but you can't change your mind. Where did you predict, Ferg? Where do you think we're going to finish?
I think I said 10th, win the League Cup, win the Conference Cup.
We're not doing all the cups, just where we're going to finish. You said 10th. Where did you say, Paul?
10th.
I said 10th as well.
You said 10th. Yes, where did you say? Second or something silly?
I said 6th, but that was before I knew about Ebbs. Now I want to change my
out of here.
prediction.
You can't change your mind. Personnel don't come into it.
She thinks it's higher now.
Yeah.
I would have gone higher if we hadn't been in Europe. I just think Europe's going to be a distraction for us.
Well, there's this thing called the supercomputer, Opta. Is it Opta supercomputer? Do you know where that had us finishing? Does anyone know that? Paul?
7th.
7th, yeah. What's that about?
I've seen 5th. I saw 5th.
Yeah.
Another supercomputer.
If you base it on
drinking, because I want something.
I am a supercomputer. I said 6th.
you base it on recent results, it's fair.
Yeah, maybe. You know, you look at the last 10 games and the trophies we won. So, you know, who could argue against that? But 12th again, who gives that? Someone says Tony Quinn, yeah, win the Conference League for sure. Okay, so we talked a little about players in. We've talked about predictions. Let's talk about predictions for the next couple of games then. We've got 2 games coming up in the week ahead. We play Fredrikstad from Norway. That's been confirmed since we were last on air, guys, a week ago. The Norwegian team at Selhurst Park. Hopefully in the chat you've all got your tickets for Thursday night. Tell us if you're going on Thursday. If you're not, why not? Don't bother watching it on Channel 5 or TNT Sport, but get yourself to Selhurst under the lights for Thursday evening, the first ever proper European game for Crystal Palace. Really looking forward to Thursday. And then we play, of all teams, Nottingham Forest in the Premier League on Sunday, 2:00 kickoff. That one's live on Sky. And then for the real proper fans amongst us, anyone going to Norway next week? No, I don't think any of us are going to make it in the end, but we know lots of people who are. Fredrikstad away, hoping it's going to be a bit of a dead rubber, that second leg. And then we play Villa. That's been moved from the Friday to the Sunday night at 7 p.m. What a dreadful time for a kickoff. But I'll still be going to Villa Park. We have a little break then, international break. Sunderland at home, West Ham away, follow that. So next 2 games, the Fredrikstad game and the Forest game. Your predictions, please, good people. Tell us in the chat. Put 2 scores in. The first one being the Fredrikstad, the second one being the Forest game. What are the results going to be? Let's start ladies first. Thursday night. What's the score going to be, Yaz?
So I think 4-0 to us.
4, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Gill?
I'd say we're talking of supercomputers. Apparently, someone online today put them into a computer. Apparently, they're the similar standard to a relegation-threatened championship team. Is apparently the standard of Fredrikstad.
Okay.
So I'm going 4-0 as well.
Okay, so we're talking of Plymouth Argyle, are we? Yeah, that might not be so easy. Ferg, you're going for 2 4-0s then, okay. Ferg?
3-0.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 as well. 3-0 or 3-1. I think we'll win, obviously. So, yeah, it'd be good. Looking forward to it. And the Forest game, how are we going to get on against Forest? You, Ferg, this time?
We've got to win that one. Let's 2-1.
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, we need to beat these. I don't often want to beat Forest this much, but they've obviously put themselves into that zone where they have to be beaten at all costs. 1-0.
Yeah, so you go with a win as well?
I'm going with a win, but I think it'll be 3-2.
3-2. I saw
Who's
their
the ref
highlight.
for that game? Who's the ref for that game? Who's the ref for that game?
They haven't announced it yet.
Darren
Great
England.
to think.
In our little chat group, Paul says the idiot for this week is, and he tells us who the idiot in the
He
middle
does,
is.
yeah. Maybe you can tell us now.
We've got that pleasure to look forward to in the next couple of days. Yeah, I watched their highlights against Brentford, just the goals a bit, and they did look pretty good, but Brentford looked pretty poor. You know, I worry for Brentford. I think they're gonna struggle. And these are the officials at Selhurst Park. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce those names, right? Okay. Does anybody want to have a go at pronouncing those names? All I'm going to say is they're all Greek. And I'm not sure you can write this kind of stuff, can you? After all the Marinakis shenanigans we've had, and then all our officials for the first Conference League game are flipping Greek. I don't know what to say. I was just, you know, of all the nations in Europe, they're bloody Greek. No offence to any Greek people watching, by the way.
Not all Greeks are bad. My nan was okay.
Your nan was Greek, okay. So what's that make you then? A quarter
Greek.
Yasmin is a quarter Greek, everybody. You know, you learn so much on this show. You really do. Officials,
I'm sure they'll be completely impartial and we'll win the game comfortably with no controversy.
Yeah, all Greek to me, says Paul Holland.
We won't be down to 10 men or 9 men after 20 minutes. That's not going to happen.
I know. There we go. Anyway, it's going to be a good night under the lights on Thursday evening. Really looking forward to that. One just final reminder before we wrap this up. Super 6 and FPL, if you haven't joined in after the first week, can still join in after week before week 2. This is the code to join our Fantasy Premier League. I nearly ripped my team up after week 1. This is the code Q5BRV1. Do join us. I've had my worst week 1 ever. You could still beat me and join in week 2 because I scored 31 points in week 1 after spending hours agonising over my team selections. And this is the code for our Super 6 Y72BE9. And Paul Guéhi, you top of that, are you at the moment? Did I hear you say earlier?
I'm top of the panelist group there. I think I'm 7th in the league. There's some cleverer people than me above me.
Okay. I only got 6 points, by the way. How many did you get?
11.
11. Okay.
Just don't forget us, Paul, if you win that £1 million.
Chris Phillips has got 80 points. 80 points in FPL. Well done, Chris. That's pretty impressive, mate. I should follow you for FPL advice. But there we go. Guys, is there anything I've forgotten to mention tonight? Anything you want to mention that we haven't talked about? No.
Well, I was going to mention something, Ian, but I don't know if I have
sorry,
time.
I forgot about that. Yeah, do you want to just touch on that then, Yaz, very quickly?
Yeah, just briefly. Just to say that we've had a bit of an unpleasant experience today. Some of you might have seen that my daughter posted a picture of the two of us at the game yesterday. And some people have decided to share it with the Football Away Days account and the Football Community account. They've got a lot of followers. And okay, that's not so bad, but it was the comments that people have made on the post of us, and I just think that some of them were. I mean, I can't repeat any of them.
No, don't do
They
that.
were sexist, and it upsets me that in 2025 we don't seem to be any further forward. With how women are viewed in football and society as a whole, I guess, if that's their view. But I did just want to put a positive on it, that it's good that I can come on here, share my views about football, players and whatever, and be respected for what I'm saying rather than ridiculed for being a woman. So well done to everyone here for doing that.
There we are. We're fully inclusive, of course, of the Red and Blue Review. Yeah, well said, Yaz. I know earlier on today there was lots of chat going on about stuff to do with that post, and some of it wasn't very pleasant. So we obviously won't repeat any stuff to give anyone any airtime on that. But well done for raising it. And no place for that in football at all. So, guys, we're back next Monday on Bank Holiday Monday. I'm not around next Monday. But a certain Nick Philpott is back from his travels down under. He will be in the chair, all being well, on Monday, the 25th of August at 8 p.m. Do join us again then. Thanks so much for your company tonight, everyone. Good night, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all. Up the Palace.